Etruria in Stoke-on-Trent is home to one of the oldest Methodist chapels in the area. This beautiful building has been given a new lease of life after being laid derelict for so long. Now known as the Old Chapel, Etruria, this stunning building is now a funeral venue for hire for families in Stoke-on-Trent, Staffordshire, Cheshire and beyond. The original church closed in 1996 due to lack of use, but it was bought many years later by a local architect who spent 5 years lovingly restoring this building. And how lucky we are that he did, because all of the original features have been kept. This right here is a perfect example of how we need to find new uses for our historical buildings in Stoke-on-Trent. This building will probably never be a church again, but now we get to enjoy all of its historical features, like these stunning Minton tiles. It's things like this that get lost when we lose the building and it's demolished. At least now, with a new use, we get to enjoy all of the interior and all of the history that comes along with it. The building has been tastefully modernised. It now boasts underfloor heating, which is going to be a godsend in the cold, bitter winters, and also modern lighting. But again, it's been done in a tasteful way that complements, so there's a lovely mix of old and new. Before the electric lighting, there was gas lighting in 1857, and you can still see evidence of this with these original gas vents in the wall. These would have been opened to allow the fumes outside without opening the windows and making the chapel cold. The chapel was extended at one point because it was so popular in the area that they just couldn't fit everybody in. Every single part of this chapel has been lovingly restored, and it's been decorated in a very tasteful way. The only thing in the chapel that hasn't been restored so far is the organ. But it is on the cards, because this organ is one of only 2 in the UK. It was installed in the chapel in 1866, and it would have had so much use because this would have been the only thing that made music in the chapel. So whether you were getting married, whether you were worshipping, whether you were celebrating something, even choir practice, this would have been the centre of the community. And the local villagers would have been used to the sound of this beautiful organ. The plan is to look into getting it restored in the future. So make sure that you follow along with the old chapel so you can keep up to date with how this restoration goes in the future, if it is possible. Something like this isn't going to be cheap, but it will definitely be worth it. The wonderful thing about the use for this chapel is that Kate, who is a local celebrant, has opened it to give families a real place to grieve, and not somewhere like at the Crown where you just churned through the funerals. You hire this place, you can have the funeral in any way that you want, and for as long as you want. There isn't another funeral queuing behind you to come in. You get to sit in this beautiful building and celebrate the life of a loved one and spend as much time afterwards chatting, having a cup of coffee and, grieving. And I don't think you get that at many places now. I love the fact that the chapel is still being used as a chapel. It just doesn't have ties to a specific religion anymore, which means that anyone can enjoy it. The chapel has many notable people that have been involved with it. It was built by the Shirley family. They were involved heavily throughout many generations, from building it to maintaining it to being trustees. And obviously Wedgwood, who created Etruria, he was heavily involved with it as well. Probably one of the most famous people affiliated with this chapel is Captain Edward John Smith, the captain of the Titanic. He was born in Etruria in 1858, and he worshipped at this chapel, and he went to the Sunday school that was behind it. And while there isn't a plaque to say that Captain Smith went to this Sunday school and went to this chapel, there are other plaques for notable local people. We've got a lovely memorial here for the Shirley family. So we've got Jesse Shirley, his wife Sarah, and their daughter Sarah Elizabeth, and they lived at Etruscan Cottage, which was just slightly down the road from the chapel. There's a memorial to George Smallwood, who had a lifelong connection with the chapel and its Sunday school, and also Thomas Adams of Etruria, who was the Sunday school superintendent for over 50 years. There is a wonderfully unusual earthenware tribute to James Mainwaring. He served not only as one of the chapel's earliest trustees, but he also preached for an impressive 7 decades. Interestingly, I can't find any record of who actually made this, as in which company, but as it's in Etruria, I think we can safely say that it was Wedgwood, but I'm not 100%. Because the Shirleys were such a prominent family, and because they had so much to do with the chapel, they are also commemorated with their own beautiful stained glass window. I really do think that we've got to be open to giving these buildings new uses, yet keeping their architectural and historical integrity intact. I think it's absolutely fantastic that local businesses, local people are spending time and money on restoring our heritage, but giving them a different use. If you would like to know more, take a look at the old chapel, Etruria. You can also head to my website, The Red-Haired Stokey, for more information on the chapel. And don't forget to check out my other local history videos and articles. And thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and share this video. And make sure that you're following me so you can keep up to date with all the local history videos and articles.